Good morning, colleagues. Welcome to our meeting on this day, the 17th of November, 2023. It's exactly 9 o'clock in my watch, and that's the scheduled start of our meeting. Let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you honorable members of this committee who have logged in on time. I also want to welcome the Minister and her team of the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, our entire support staff who are with us, and everybody else who has logged into the meeting. Maybe just before we go to apologies, Ms. Moy, just to make sure that we have everybody in the right place. I see there's somebody who has logged in for the Committee on Public Service and Administration. Maybe we need to help that person. Is in a wrong meeting. That's not that committee here. And so maybe that person can correct himself or herself and be directed to the correct meeting. Having welcomed all of you colleagues, Ms. Moy, do you have any apologies?
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, Chairperson, we received 4 apologies. One from Honorable Manyi. He's attending the Standing Committee on Finance. Deputy Minister Pinky Kekana, she's attending the joint DPME and DWF in Free State. Honorable Maklua will be with us until 10 o'clock. Honorable Zungula is attending another meeting. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Moy, for those apologies. Some would have been shared in our committee platform. I take it that honorable members, you're fine with those apologies so that we can proceed. No reaction to it. Thank you. Maybe just from my side as a chair up front in relation to our agenda of today and the main item and purpose of this meeting. I think it's proper that I clarify these matters up front. Last week, I did indicate that we'll have this meeting, and I indicated what this meeting is going to be about. There would have been a lot of talk about the issue of this particular bill, whose aim, in my understanding, is to assist the department as part of its enforcement element. It is not the only thing the department needs to ensure compliance. The department needs, in my view, going forward, to earn its own respect and its own place as the overall and overarching department in the government that looks at everybody else's work. This is not an additional ministry to any other ministries. It's not competing with any other ministry. It's designed and established to ensure that all other ministries perform to the best of their abilities in relation to their strategic plans and annual performance plan. So the role, existence, and purpose of this ministry and the department, which this committee is overseeing, is that of enhancing, enabling, embracing, and ensuring that things do happen, and that nothing falls through the cracks, that departments on their own might not be able to do that fully. So the existence of this department is for that. And it's for that reason that it does need not just to be a barking dog, but it does need to be if it has to be a dog, to be a dog that has teeth.
Recording in progress.
To enforce what would have been agreed to. And so that's a space that we're overseeing as this portfolio committee, and would like to see the department playing that role where it needs support. We're here to ensure that it does exactly that. So today's purpose, we have been told before that there is a bill that has been in the making for the last couple of years, even before our Minister Ramaghopa took over, that there would have been a process. Part of the work that we do as a portfolio committee in monitoring and evaluating progress is not to wait for when things are done. Part of our work is to check every step of a journey of work, of projects, of programs, so that we are there in all of those steps to know what's happening, what's not happening, and why it's not happening. And so today's main purpose is to really check the progress and lack of progress, if there is, in terms of the work that the department is doing about the bill. And you might, Minister, also as part of that progress, so that we're clear if there is still the continued need for this bill, because if there is a need, there will be a will to ensure that it does happen. And so we're particularly more interested about, we're not expecting today to have a bill presented to us, because we're told before that it is between the department and Parliament. We only entertain, deal with bills if it's a bill coming from the executive after it would have gone through cabinet. We never entertain anything that looks like a bill that has not had that kind of a process into cabinet. And so we're particularly interested, in my view, about just 4 challenges that you might want to share with us. I want to know what, from the chair, what will be the nature of those challenges? Are the challenges at the concept level? Are the challenges at the policy mandate orientation? Are challenges based on legal bottlenecks, if they are so? Or, put it bluntly, is it a sheer incompetence by the department? Those are the 4 areas. Would want to know if there are problems. Do they relate to any of those 4 issues? Because today is about the journey of the bill and not the bill itself. And so with those remarks, I do want to welcome the minister. I hope she's been able to join to speak to us in her remarks and overview. The intention is not to have a long meeting. Perhaps the 10 o'clock apology of Honorable McGrew might have to finish well before that. So we'd want to hear, and it might be that after the minister had spoken, we might not even need to hear the DG or the department. But that will be up to the minister if she intends doing that. But we would want to, for the nature of this meeting, want to hear from the minister and interact with the minister in relation to the progress of the journey on this bill. Thank you. Honorable Minister, I want to take this opportunity and invite you to speak to us. You would have indicated yourself that you are assisting the Minister of Electricity in a number of other issues. And if we're to prolong this meeting, you might not be here until the end of this meeting. That's taken and received very well, Minister. We hope that we'll be able to release you much sooner than that. Thank you. Over to you, Minister. Do we have the minister already on the platform?
Chairperson, no, she's still struggling to join in.
I've just joined in, if it's me.
Okay, thank you, Minister. You probably would have missed what I've said in my remarks. Welcome, Honorable Minister. Thank you again for always making time and interacting with the Portfolio Committee on any matter affecting the department. In many instances, all departments need is just a champion that really point the way. And up to so far, you have clearly demonstrated that. I just made a few points to say that the purpose of today's meeting is not, it's a journey about the bill, the progress, and not the bill itself. We're here to track progress or lack of progress about the bill, and whether there is need for it, you will tell us that. But I would have raised 4 areas that I would want you to touch on, or anybody else you want them to speak, as to the nature of the challenges. This is what you have inherited when you took over. We wanted to know if the nature of these challenges are in relation to the 4 following issues. Do you have challenges in relation to a concept, at a concept level about the bill? Are there challenges in relation to policy and mandate orientation? Do you have challenges that are of the nature of legal bottlenecks? And the last one, and the most important I raised, that you might want to be upfront about if it is so. I then ask a question: is it a sheer incompetence by the department that we're dealing with here? So we don't hide about all other things. We confront that if that is the problem. And so those are the remarks I would have made, Minister, and I would have added and said, we're not intending to have a long meeting. We might, depending on your take and your introduction, after you have spoken, we might not even go to the department and the members can react to your remarks. We might end the meeting after that, depending on what you put forward. So I thought I must just repeat that so that you, in addition to everything else that you are going to say, I've just raised those as part of the remarks. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and my apologies for, because I've been trying different gadgets. I just don't know what's wrong with my system today. However, let me take this opportunity to really thank you for this opportunity that you have given us and that you continuously give us. We truly appreciate it because it assists us to actually improve more on what we are trying to build. Let me also just acknowledge the presence of the Deputy Minister. If she's here, she did mention that she would be going to Free State again. And yourself as the chairperson, of course, as I've already said, and honorable members of this portfolio, the colleagues from DPME as well. Thank you, as I already said. As I've already said as well, my network is not good, but I know colleagues always want to see the face, but it's going to give us trouble. So may I please just switch off the camera?
Please go ahead. Thank you. Thank you, Minister. We know you very well by now.
Thank you. I probably need to invest more in a better space for Wi-Fi. This one is not working. However, we would like today, of course, to just talk about 2 things, which is the policy framework that we are working under. And we would like to obviously speak to the issues that has to do with the bill itself. However, we have all included some of the amendments in the bill that arose from the process of cabinet, which you may not have been able to read because we just had to act, because as and when we take it to cabinet and cabinet committees, it usually is been I can say it's strengthened. Let me just say, lack of better word to say. Indeed, there's also a framework that we have, and it was adopted in 2022, which has of course given us some kind of a base at which we try to work on in terms of building this particular bill. You asked 4 questions, or you asked a question and you said I must choose one. I could say that maybe the policy atmosphere that we are actually working under still needs more refining. It is for this reason that I do believe that we don't have full capacity as the department to do it in such a way that it would speak to the initial idea and vision when this whole process of having the National Planning Commission and the department later on actually started. It is for this reason that I believe, were taken to and fro. Yesterday, as well, at the cabinet meeting, we received a presentation from the AG, the Auditor General. And in her presentation, when she did recommendations, she mentioned 3 things. She said that she only believed that we would be able to change service delivery issues, compliance issues, if 3 things were to happen. 1, if we would strengthen the issue of internal auditing and external auditing, and if also there can be a better clarity as it relates to the roles of the executive and administration. But lastly said, if DPME can be put at the coordination and center of everything that's happening in government. Lack of a better way of doing that, and systems being put in place, and right people with the right skill being there to actually execute that, she will forever come back to government to say the same thing. So that's what she actually said to cabinet. It is for this reason that, of course, amendments were made. They were made even also after that. So clearly, it looks like we need to really look at deeper ways of making sure that this bill can be something that will bring more of a solution and be able to enforce a law that will bring the whole of government together as it relates to performance of government, and making sure that service delivery prescriptions that makes it what it is are actually followed. So in my view, we definitely still need to improve and get external assistance, in my view, institutions like MISTRA, especially because if you can look at MISTRA, the people that are there are actually the people that were at the initial setup of this particular process that we're actually doing today. It has been said that when the department was formed, we probably also lost a number of skilled people that have been there for quite a very long time, and that would have understood where we came from and where we are going. And I'm not saying that the people that are there are not skilled. However, I'm just saying that for those who could be able to conceptualize where we are going and what this particular department is supposed to do, including the bill, the people that are there are skilled. However, we probably do need more specific skills that are not just general, but that are specific as it relates to the issue of monitoring and evaluation, coordination as well, which becomes the center of everything else. Because when you then now, for example, yesterday the AG did say that in some of the recommendations that she made, she would like us to come and give a view of why is it that we would and monitor this issue, to say that a department can have, like most of departments of health, they would be having like, maybe let me say that they would have said that their targets are up to 100%. However, they would then now maybe only do 51%. But then when you look at their budget, it's 100% spent. we would have to come up with an analysis and an assessment to say, why is this happening? If it's systematic, what is it that needs to be done as it relates to that? So we definitely would need much deeper capacity of analytical skills that would be based on people with a specific capacity, as I have already said, like your economists, people who would deal with data analysis on a daily basis, and because we don't have the budget as well of employing things like the dashboard that would be able to read those data and analyze it to assist us to be able to say to a department, it looks like in 3 months' time you won't be where you are supposed to be. Therefore, in our view, this is what you need to do. So those are some of the things that were discussed yesterday. So the thing that we have, and that is now clear, it is the framework that I've just spoken about, which at least everybody was happy about, and it was done last year, which is the policy framework for integrated planning. And this framework, as far as we're concerned, it is a framework that would be able to represent an important building block, as I've already said, in the efforts to build a capable, developmental and ethical state in line with National Development Plan, which is our Vision 2030. And I always laugh because most of the people would think that the NDP is a policy, and there would be those kind of debates. It's the vision of the South Africa we want to live in. It should be able to inform policies and frameworks that we need to put in place, including bills that would enforce some of those matters that we do believe needs to take place in order for us to build that vision that we have, which is the Vision 2030. And definitely this framework, of course, speaks to the issues of the MTSF, as you already know, that we cannot speak about the NDP without speaking about the MTSF as well. This framework seeks to also address fragmentation in the planning system, which leads to suboptimal development results. It also builds on the existing progress in the planning systems to address gaps in the policy and planning landscape by strengthening coherence, harmonization, and outcome across spheres of government and other stakeholders, and by improving alignment between long, medium, and short-term planning systems and instruments. Integrated planning, Chairperson, as you may know, it provides a comprehensive view of resources and commitments that contribute to the alignment of financial resources with government priorities that should be able to ensure that all functions are coordinated and can work effectively and efficiently in a way that is collaborative, of course, not in silos, which is what we have been seeing and many people have actually been talking about and raising as it relates to how government does its things. That's why lack of impact, not that work is not being done, work is being done beautifully so. However, the impact is not felt because of lack of harmonization and the isolation. So this framework seeks to actually give that to allow us to be able to know how are we supposed to do this intergovernmental working of governments and spheres of government. Of course, as I've already said, this policy framework for integrated planning will guide and has already guided the integrated planning in our country, and has also, as I've already said, provided the basis for the National Development Planning Framework Bill. The effective implementation of the policy framework for integrated planning will contribute to improving the achievement of the country's developmental result. As you know, we are trying to build a developmental state with capacity and capability to intervene in changing the lives of our people and putting in place systems that would allow our people to flourish so that we can then now build what the Constitution says we must do. This policy framework is applicable to all institutions in the national and provincial sphere of government. And it has about 7 sections that I would just like to go through. Section 1 outlines the purpose of the framework, its applicability and the use of the framework to promote integrated planning. And Section 2 provides a detailed overview of the background to integrate planning in South Africa. And this section reflects on the progress made by government on integrated planning over the years, challenges experienced in relation to integrated planning, the rationale behind the introduction of the policy framework, the policy and the legal context, and the international benchmarks. And Section 3 outlines the approaches followed in developing this framework. And Section 4 elaborates on the problem statement which the framework seeks to address. And Section 5 explains the policy vision and objective of the framework, as well as the underlying theory of change. And Section 6 puts forward policy recommendation and envisaged integrated planning model to institutionalize and integrate planning system in South Africa and sets out the associated roles and responsibilities of different stakeholders. And lastly, Section 7 covers governance, monitoring, evaluation, and review, as well as providing guidance on management of the framework with regard to its implementation, reporting risks, and accountability. There are a few, of course, appendices in there that focuses on the benchmarking that was spoken about, that is based, of course, on international space. And this is based on case studies from Malaysia, Rwanda, Canada, Kenya, Uganda, as well as China. In summary, the policy framework has three main recommendations, Chairperson. One, which is legislative reform that lead to promulgation of integrated planning legislation, which is why we are pushing for the bill, and we need to do it in such a way that it will be fit for purpose. And number two, integrated planning system responsive to development priorities across government, and an enabling environment, which is last, for undertaking development and institutional planning. Of course, the detailed plan has been developed based on the action arising from this policy framework. The implementation plan encompasses outputs as well as indicators responsible for departments and targets. The targets should be implemented by the identified responsible institution and should be included in their institutional plan for the implementation of the approved policy framework for integrated planning. There are 21 outputs in total, which are implemented by DPME, the NPC Secretariat, DCOG Presidency, DPSA, the National School of Government, National Treasury, as well as Office of Premiers in respective provinces. The DPME continuously engage with the relevant stakeholders to track progress on the implementation. Regular progress is reported to the planning forums and to the portfolio committee. DPME will amend the implementation plan annually based on progress report and relevant contextual factors and processes. As I've already said, of course, Chairperson, we do have a strong team in the department that has been working on this. But when you look at what is needed and what is expected from us, including from the AG and yourselves, it definitely shows you that we need to acquire better skills and more skills to reinforce what we already have, if we are to be able to basically bring in an effective bill that should be able to coordinate and strengthen and be that kind of a frame of an ecosystem of planning and coordination that will be utilized not only by spheres of government, but the country as a whole, including all institutions, most especially the institution that deals with accountability. I've already touched on the issue of the National Development Planning Coordination Bill, which continuously changes because of what is expected, as I've already said. I'm not sure how we should be able to move forward because there's a lot of changes, of course, that will still come again until such time that we get it right. But safe to say, there have been extensive consultation on the bill, through the planning forums as well as through working session with the National Planning Commission in 2022 and this year in 2023. As you are aware, the bill aims to address the current levels of fragmentation in the planning system and improve and should be able to improve coordination and harmonization towards the better achievement of our development goals, and also provide for the role of the minister and of the DPME and the NPC and the country as a whole. However, some of the regulatory challenges that we have, and also the inputs that are in the bill itself, are what is being actually said we need to improve on, because when you say that you are going to enforce something, it must be clear exactly how you are supposed to enforce it. If it is not clear from the legislative purpose, then it would then now mean that we have just done that bill for the sake of having it. So everyone should be able to use it even after 100 years when we are no longer here. So having said that, of course, the bill have been processed with the Chief State Law Advisor, and it has been approved, and with different cabinet committees as well. And among the key issues, of course, which informed a revision of this bill that has been going to and from since 2018, that the bill should make sure that it is explicit, as I've already said, on what the problem is and what is it that is trying to solve and the objective of it. And it should also provide us with clarification on the roles of different spheres of government in the development planning system and explicit reference to the DDM1 plans. It should also be able to give us a clear space and line of sight on matters relating to National Planning Commission, including its role as an advisory body, appointment and removal of commissioners, just to say that, safely saying that there should be a clear way of how this issue of the commission actually should work. You know, when we first had our meeting with the president, with the commissioners, some of the commissioners asked the president, do you still need this commission? The president was saying, clearly we still need the commission. Definitely we do believe that it's doing a good job. We just have to, of course, strengthen it where it needs to be strengthened. Having said that, Chairperson, this is what I would like to say and what we'd like to say, and I will request that the DG and the team, of course, take us through the draft framework, which, of course, has been developed and approved in 2022. I'm not sure how we will deal with the issue of the bill itself. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Minister, for that very comprehensive introduction on the matter at hand. You've said a mouthful in attending to the issues that were raised up front. The DGN team can hold back. Before we do that, I think we must do this differently. It might be important that I invite members to interact with this discussion on the things that you have just put on the table, because it might be that we might not even go and present the framework, because what is important is that the bill has to respond to the clarity of mandate and the kind of things that you have raised, and you have been very clear in saying from where you're sitting, there is a need for more refining at a policy level. And you would have shared with us, and we thank that piece of information, a very fresh information in relation to the work of the AG and the AG herself as an institution. The things I've said up front sees the role of this department as a very critical, at the pinnacle of coordination, at the center of everything else that this government does, and would have listed the things that you have raised, that this is what the cabinet needs to attend to. Out of those three things, it is the role and the clarity of this department in relation to how it needs to play coordination. I think you've made a point about the need to improve and get more support to enhance what you already have in terms of staffing, but I want to raise it differently. If this department has to be taken seriously, if it has to earn its correct and rightful place of being the center of coordination, it has to be shaped in that way and be designed and capacitated in that way. you're not going to be able to oversee a municipality, a very rich metro, or a province that has certain capabilities, and this department does not have those. This department does not have to have everything else that other departments have. There are certain specialized capabilities that you have. And I must make the point here that, Minister, the dashboard is one of the key capabilities of this department. Because for this department to oversee what health department is doing, which has sophisticated dashboards and capabilities, because if you are not able to do that outside of being manual, you're not going to be taken seriously. And so it should never be even an issue of a budget. It's almost like a taken for granted thing. That's the first thing that you must have. If there's no budget, that budget must be found. That's one key capability you need to have, in addition to the personnel and the skills that you have. If you don't have that, you should not be a department. So it's you either in or out. There's no half class here, half-hearted kind of coordination, and so it's not optional, this issue of a dashboard. So I thought that perhaps before, and you have raised something, your officials would have indicated before this meeting whether as a chair I should invite the AG, and I refused to say we want to hear the minister. I don't want the minister to be accompanied by the AG until the minister indicates to us why we need to hear the AG. And you've just done that there might be a need as we program our work to do that. But we were not going to bring both of you here. We will work with you, we listen to you, we oversight you. And so those are the kind of things. But I am indicating that before we have the planned presentation on the framework, just given what you have just said, I want to invite members to interact with this. Maybe I'm wrong in the way I'm looking at it, but certainly there might be a need that we even hold back on even presenting that framework when these things that you have listed would not have been catered for as part of that. The last thing we want to do is to tick the box. I have no passion and interest for us to be a committee that ticks the box when it is such a critical portfolio committee, because this committee oversees, monitors, evaluates the whole of government, not just a particular corner. Thank you. I see Honorable Maglu.
Thank you, Chairperson. My apologies for not putting on my screen.
No problem.
Chair, I am in full agreement with you with particular reference to the issue of ticking off boxes. I also want to say thank you to the Minister for a very high level explanation of the intention of the bill. But what worries me most in the midst of announcements by the financial minister pertaining to austerity measures is the fact that the minister has used words such as better skills and more skills. But coming back to the bill, and I don't want to use the word problematic, we already have an intergovernmental relationships framework, for governments to coordinate plans. And my very, very straight and blunt question will then be whether there's a need for additional legislation. My second question thus will be, is this legislation, will this be a problem? Listen very carefully to the minister. I want to refer us to the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act of 13 of 2004. And let me speak to the intents of that particular act. It speaks to exactly what the minister has explained to us now. It speaks to the establishment of framework for the national governments, provincial governments, as well as local governments, and to promote, facilitate intergovernmental relationships. It also has to provide mechanisms and procedures to facilitate the settlement of the governmental disputes and to provide matters connected therewith. So what are we talking about here in, the bond of framework to establish something that is already be? I think we need some explanation, and the high-level report also have it. Not that I would not want the department to explain, but I'm just afraid that we will now fall into the trap of explaining the entire content of the bill, which I think this meeting actually is not catered for. At the end of the day, I am also of the opinion that we will have public hearings where we as members maybe can also go sit in or, request various organizations to be part of this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable McGlue. Honorable Pillay.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning to honorable members, Minister, DG, and all on the platform. Chair, firstly, I want to appreciate the prelude of the meeting, and I think you've captured it so correctly. And I appreciate the direction that you have even provided. I also want to appreciate the extensive input that was made by the Minister. And Chair, I'm of the view, in fact, I want to support your earlier view that there may not even be a need to proceed with any of the presentations after the Minister. Yep. Purely because we do not have a bill that has been sanctioned by Cabinet. And when that happens, we will then have the appropriate time as this committee to be able to then discuss, deliberate, and then take the process forward. And I think in the interest of time, we must be able to take cognizance of the fact that we have a parliament that's rising soon, and we must be able to prioritize what it is that we are doing. And so, Chair, I want to support the view that says, let's wait until that comes to us, and then we'll be able to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Pillay, for that pointed contribution as well. Any other member? Honorable Yabo?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and greetings to the Minister, to the team of the department, and the honorable members. Chair, I want to second the seconder because the proposition that the seconder was seconding emanates from the contribution you made earlier. And therefore, I rise to second him in that we proceed as you have proposed. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Yabo, for seconding the seconder. Your support is well recorded. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, honorable members. Honorable Minister, with the voice of those members that have spoken, in addition to the views that I have shared, also as a chair, I think we're indicating that we appreciate that the DG and the team would have prepared a presentation. We not necessarily want to hear their voices today. We love their voices, but certainly not today. That having listened to you as the champion of the department and the kind of issues that you have raised, we're of the view that we need to pause at that point to allow certain processes to take place, including some of the issues that you have raised just beyond cabinet. You have raised certain things that, in my view, you seem to be passionate and interested about in order for yourself as the champion of the department to have a handle over the department around certain particular enhancements that are needed in a department. Because the process that you would have outlined in terms of how you need to interact with some strategic institutions, MISTRA and others, and for that matter, you might need to interact even with some important, even global research around these issues. Those interactions might even improve or change the direction even of that framework. So, because presenting that framework ahead of dealing with these issues just doesn't make strategic sense at this stage. And I think we're of the view that you need to be given that space and time. I think both Honorable Yabo and Honorable Pillay have indicated that we might, as this committee, all of those that we put together, that process, that they are going to form part of our kind of a legacy report, so that if we run out of time, the issues get kick-started and there's a momentum created immediately, for example, for the 7th Parliament. We hope that by the time we rise as the 6th Parliament, you would have done enough work to come to some clarity around some of these issues. And we're certainly going to be here to watch that space. And I will speak to the Secretariat. We might even want ourselves as a committee to call back in the AG, and that moment accompanied by you as our minister, so that we interact even with the AG. It's an important institution that must even assist this portfolio committee. And as I would have said much earlier, even Treasury and appropriations in terms of the finances and how the finances are directed, we will be interested in future to interact with that, so that we're not just passengers of a process that we're not kind of influencing. And so we're going to have to push you very hard with the purpose of ensuring that this department is at a particular space to drive its program. Any comment on what you've heard from the members?
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and thank you so much to the honourable members for the directive that they've just given us and the questions that they've asked. Indeed, clearly what makes me have comfort is that clearly the honourable members do understand what this department is all about, and clearly they've got a foresight of what is it that it should achieve, and the fact that they also have the history of where it come from helps a lot, because we need to build on that. We're not starting from scratch. We're just improving, so that at least whatever it is that has been put in place in terms of legislation should be improved in such a way that we would then now be able to enforce the law. Because before, with the intergovernmental framework that we used to have, it was just to talk about how to coordinate, but it was not talking about the issues that will deal with enforcement. Of if you don't do this, then what happens? And this is what the president has been asking continuously, to say, okay, fine, we hear everything about coordinated, but if they don't do it, then what happens? So those are the things that this bill is supposed to actually be clear on. It is for this reason that we definitely have to have more capacity to make it, to give it more meat to be able to respond to such things. So responding to the Honorable McLeod, who asked about what is different between what we already have and what we are trying to achieve. But what the colleagues have said and the honorable members have said and what we have said, we accept this, and we are going to push very hard that we should be done with what we are trying to do, bringing everybody together that can be able to help us to put meat on what we are trying to do in terms of this bill. Just to say, I once had a conversation, and I'm saying this because of what you spoke about when you spoke about Treasury. And one of the people in Treasury, I think it was a DDT, who said, theirs is about rands and cents. Does it make financial sense to be able to invest in this? It is for this reason that they would not give. Sometimes they would give. But with us, we are developmental. We look at the developmental aspect. So us being able to put in a bill that would be able to also say to Treasury, say, yes, we hear that you don't want to fund this if we've got, of course, a healthy fiscal environment. You are able to say that, but the developmental aspect of this, and which is what we did now when we were discussing where to do cuts, to say that on this we cannot be able to cut because it will regress the developmental agenda of the country. So this bill is supposed to actually assist that, to also be able to do that. As much as Treasury is the apex of the departments of government, but we should also be given an opportunity to say that in terms of the developmental agenda of the NDP, if we don't do this, and if we don't fund this and capacitate this with resources, we will definitely be regressing on what has been put in place. Having said that, we will hear, of course, and continue to speak to you, listen to you, and we are going to push hard to make sure that when we come to present the bill itself, it should be what it's supposed to be, with everybody, including the cabinet itself, happy and comfortable with what we'll be putting in place, because as you can see, it looks like the DPME remains something that almost everyone, including the AG and other institutions, are actually looking to in terms of making sure that the issues that they are raising of irregularities, whether they are material or not, and the findings that they have should be monitored, and their implementation should actually be also implemented. If they are not implemented, there should be someone who should be able to say, Department X, the AG said this, it looks like there's no progress in what the findings that they've given, and this is what we think you should do, because in 6 months' time we'll be coming back again to evaluate if there is any progress or not. So having said that, thank you for this opportunity and for allowing us to work more on this bill, and to also availing yourself to say that you will also help us to be able to make it a better one. Thank you, Chairperson, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Just before we wrap up this item, two things. It might be important, so you don't respond now, to do the exercise that Honourable McGlew was raising, so that we have no gaps. We attend to everything. The exercise that says, have you made comparisons? Have you done the analysis about whether the IGR on its own can be effective without the bill? And so it will be important that, so that when we, as we enrich this framework process, engaging in the improvement of the bill and driving that, when you come back, you should be in a position to tell us that either the IGR goes up to so far and not more than that, or you certainly have not even attempted to see how effective the IGR could be in the absence of the bill. Just do that exercise. It might be important. And secondly, when I think let's just nuance this thing of more capacity that Honourable McGlew was raising. The issue here is, and I speak about capabilities and less about just issues of quantity. The issue is about even in the manner that you are assembled as a department, are you geared towards playing this role? And it might be that you might not need more, but you might need certain skills in what you have. I mean, Robin Collins speak about, it's one thing to have people in the bus and the bus is full, but it's just another that those people in the bus are in the right seats in that particular bus. It makes a complete difference. And that's what starts speaking to the capabilities, because capabilities are not just about quantity and numbers. I mean, in military terms, you would have countries that have a bigger population, but would not match a smaller country with a smaller population, even in military capabilities. And so it is important that to understand what is it that we want to have. We want to have a sharpened coordinating department here that must house those kind of issues. And so that you don't just fill up the bus and everybody in the bus, all they do is to sweep. Just making that as a very raw example. It doesn't pertain to the department. I still have to know more about the department itself, its structure, and what it has as skills and capabilities, given the mandate of the department and the mandate of this committee in playing that oversight role. With that, we want to thank you, Minister, I think it's now 5 to 10. You will be able to do what you needed to do, including Honorable McGlure. And so we'll step off that item and quickly, Ms. Moy, get to the minutes so that we deal with that and close our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. There are no minutes today, Chair.
Oh, okay. I forgot that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, therefore, honorable members and colleagues, everybody else. Thank you again, Minister, for always availing yourself to come to this committee. Time now is exactly 5 to 10. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Long live the chair.
Sharp, sharp.